Okay, welcome back. This is continuation of the Who Wants to Be a Programmer application tutorial. We have just created our question class in the previous session of the tutorial, and now we're going to continue by building on the play quiz form. Okay, so what happens if a user starts clicking these things? We're going to handle all the buttons. So if the user clicks on this, if he clicks on that, if he clicks on this and that, and what happens? Okay, this is going to be exactly what we did. Well, not exactly, because the way we're storing our question is slightly different from the way we did it in the previous tutorial. So it's going to be very similar to how we did the Who Wants to Be a Dacia application. Okay, so let's go ahead and start by open up your play quiz form design view, double click on the form. Okay, by double clicking on the form, it creates an event handler for when the form starts. Okay, when you show the form, all right, that is when you want to start running the application. Now first, when this form loads, okay, you want to display the first question in your question array. Now we don't even have a question array yet, so we're going to go ahead and quickly create one. Now the question array, it needs to be accessible from the play quiz form. That's one. It also needs to be accessible from the add questions form. The reason why you want it to be accessible from the add questions form is because when you add a question, you want it to be included into the question array. So you need the question array to be accessible there. So now that means we're going to make it a public, probably a public static variable in our program class. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. From experience from the last time, I think we saw it's probably not a good idea to touch the program class, but for now let's just try it. We could have done it easily in the probably in the form 1 class. I think it's safer there, but I just want to test how far can I go with tampering with the program class. Okay, so let's go ahead and try that. So we're going to make it public static. We're going to make it a list, so it's going to be a list of question. Now this is why we created the question class. So the data type is question, and we're going to public static list questions, and we're going to call them questions. So these are the questions. Okay, this is the variable that's going to hold the questions. Remember, a list is an array list. It means it's a dynamic array that can store multiple questions. Okay, with that, I think that's that. We need to initialize it. So let's do that here. We'll say questions is equal to new list question and open bracket and close bracket. Okay, notice how I wrote it here. This question is without an S, with a capital Q, while this question is with S. Please always keep note of the case of the letters. It's very important that you write them correctly. Alright, that's that. We've initialized it. Now by putting it, the reason why I wanted it to be, I so badly wanted to be in the program class, is because once we put it in the program class, it's going to be accessible immediately in everywhere in our program. Okay, that's why I wanted it to be in the program class. So let's go ahead in our add play quiz form where we want to continue. So open up the play quiz form.cs and go to your play quiz form load event handler, and then in there you're going to start by loading the first question. So to do that, we're going to call load next question, if you remember. So load next question. Now we don't yet have this method, so we need to create load next question. So it's going to be a private, it's going to be a void method, and it's going to be called load next question. And inside this, open the curly bracket and close it. Inside this, what we want to do is we want to first get we probably want to keep a handle of the question number we're on. So we're going to say private okay, probably not necessarily, since we have it in an array list. Let's just load the first question in the array list, and then when we load it, we remove it from the question array. Okay, so load next question. What we're going to do is we're going to say question program dot let's get a handle to our question label. So it's going to be question label dot text is equal to program dot questions dot we're going to get program dot questions dot, we want the one at index 0. Okay, so I think the method is get remove at remove returns a question. No, it returns true or false. What we want, the method we want is I think we want get range, get find, not find, find all, find last. Okay, let's not use a method. Let's use the direct way to get the index of an array list. So this is what I did. I just opened a square bracket, and inside the square bracket you're going to put 0. Okay, so it means it should get question that is in 0. What's this? Cannot implicitly convert type question to string. Oh yeah, 0 dot the question is the question we want, so the question. Okay, and then after doing that, we are going to get answer option A. Yes, you need to store the we need to put in the options in the button so that the user can see the options. So one thing we need to do is we need to go back to our play quiz design view. Where is it? I forgot to change, we didn't change the names of these buttons, so let's quickly do that now. So button A, select it, go to name. Oh yeah, we actually did. So let's go back to our design view and say button A dot text is equal to program dot questions 0 dot the question sorry, not the question, dot A. Okay, so that's option A, and then button B is dot text is equal to program, I think this is going to be easier if we just copy and paste that question. Okay, what's happening? I think it got stopped. Oh, okay. So that question 0 dot b. Okay. Okay. Let's just copy that. Control C, Control V, and change this to C. Change this to button C, and finally for button D, Control C, Control V. Change this to D and change this to D, and then finally the answer, where is it? We need to hold the answer. Where is our answer? Did we create a variable that holds our answer? We didn't. Okay, no problem. We'll create one now. We're going to say string answer. Oh, sorry, the answer is going to be an integer. Remember, it's supposed to be an int. Answer index is equal to program dot questions 0 dot answer. Okay, fine. Now, because this is an array list, okay, and we're saying it should get the first item in the array list, it's not necessary, necessary that this array is going to have items in it. So you always have to use an if statement here to avoid out of I think overflow, no, not underflow, sorry, overflow exception. Okay, let's tap that. Okay, so the if statement you're going to use is you're just going to check if the question array actually has questions in it. If it does not have questions in it, then there's no need to load, there's no question to load. Okay, so that's why we're using an if statement there. So if questions, sorry, it's going to be program dot questions dot count. You use the count property to check how many items are there in an array. So if the program the questions dot count is greater than 0, that is when you do this. Okay, because if it is greater than 0, it means there is at least a question in the array list. If there is no question in the array list, then there's no reason why you should start trying to load the question. Okay, wonderful. So this is what load next question does. And next, okay, answer index should probably be a global variable. So we're not going to declare it here. We're going to declare it at the beginning. Somewhere here, we're going to say private. We're going to make it private answer index. Okay. So answer int. I forgot the int answer index. Okay. So we declared it here. Notice where it's declared. It is declared inside public partial class playquiz form extends form. And also let's initialize it right away to 0. So by default, the correct answer is A. But of course, we're going to change that before the user even clicks on the button. So private void. So this method is fine. Load next question. This method is going to load the next question. And then I don't know, should we stop this tutorial here for this one, or let's go ahead and add one more thing. The thing we need to add is let's see, so we can load the next question. So we need to see if we need to handle the click of the options for the user. Okay, so let's go to the play quiz form design view again. Remember to save, go to file, save all. So it's going to save all the files, and in here we're going to handle button A. So if button A is clicked, it should check if answer index is equal to 0. That is when the user got it correctly. Info box, remember our info box dot text is equal to correct. So we're going to display correct, meaning the user got it correctly. And then else we're going to do info box dot text is equal to wrong. Then I just remembered also, when we loaded this question, we need to remove the question that we just loaded. So inside here, after doing answer index is equal to program.question0.answer, we need to remove, so it's going to be something like program program.questions program.questions.remove at 0. Okay, so it's going to remove the first question, which is the question that it has loaded from the questions list, so that the next question, which is question 2, is now going to be the first question, which will be the next question that will be loaded when load next question is called. Okay, so it's going to be serially as it's loading the question. Whatever question the user answers, that question is going to be removed from the questions array list. Okay, so if answer index equals 0, info box dot text equal to correct, so we show the user got it right, and then we need to increment score. We didn't create a score variable, so let's just do that. At the beginning where we wrote private int answer index, we're going to add one private int question, sorry, not question, what was the name, score, yeah, private int score is equal to 0. Okay, and then here we can increment score plus plus, meaning the score has incremented, and then we need to display the score. Yeah, we should display the score. So score label dot text is equal to score colon and then plus the score. Okay, so if the user has 1, it's going to show 1 there. And then else, so if the user got it wrong, we're not going to increment his score. We're just going to, in fact, there's no need for doing anything. You just leave, meaning his score still remains 0, so there's no need to display, there's no need to update the score label. Okay, that's that for button A. We're just going to copy this. So notice where I'm copying from if to this else curly bracket. I'm going to do Control-C, and then I'm going to go back to the play quiz design view and double click on button B, and now I have my button B event handler. I'm just going to paste that in, Now we're going to change if answer index is equal to 1, not 0, okay, because we're now in button B. Info box.text is equal to correct. You increment the score, show, and that's it. So we're just changing this